Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast entitled With the Beginnings. Kelly Ibarra here with
Kegel McGinnis.
And today's episode is going to be very, very, very important, specifically for real estate agents, for sellers, for buyers, for finance people, anyone related to a real estate transaction. And today we're going to be talking about the things that we should be doing right to make a transaction much easier.
Yes, to make it smooth and fast.
Yes, and to not make shit hit the fan.
And then to not complicate it.
Exactly. So this past couple of weeks, Katie has been more hands-on in the office and doing a little bit more closings. You know, as the owner, she does rotate around the office, and she's going to do a lot of closings in the last couple of weeks. So we thought it would be a great idea to have this, sit down, talk about what can we do to make a transaction better.
Yes.
And so what is the number one thing we could do to make a transaction easier?
Communication.
Communication is key.
We're not freaking, I don't even know the word for it. We're not wizards. We don't know everything about your agent or about your client.
Mm-hmm.
You got to provide as much information as you can to make things better. Some agents, I think, are just not as experienced, so they don't really give you everything up front, and you have to chase things down. But some of these agents don't pick up the phone, and I just don't understand, not answering emails, not picking up your phone. This is how you get paid.
Yeah. I think one of the most important things too is what I've noticed is like lack of maybe training would be the proper word for real estate agents. I do get a lot of, as the person who goes out and networks with other real estate agents that will be like, oh, so can you guide me or can you train me through, how to get through a closing? And it's like, that's not our job.
Yeah.
Which it's okay. We can kind of, sometimes like a little guidance here and there, but we're not your mentor, right?
Yeah. I can't tell you about contracts or
correct. Correct. Or the agents that are like, cancel and release. Hey, can you write up the form for me? And I just so
big red flag.
Yeah. So I truly believe one of the things that we can help to make a transaction easier is also having all of your documents ready, right?
And organized.
Exactly. Like have your documents ready, organized, have your documents like filled out.
Check your email. Check your cell phone. And I do think that there's a lot of agents that kind of have second jobs or first jobs for them. But if that's the case, let the title company know so they're not calling you while you're at your other job.
Correct.
Maybe we can text or something if we're comfortable with that.
We're not mediators.
Yeah, we're not mediators. We're a third mutual party. We do not negotiate.
Yeah. We don't negotiate deals.
And don't pick sides.
And that's the most important. Yeah. So, can you elaborate a little bit on we don't pick sides?
Yeah, we do not represent buyer or seller. We represent the property and getting it cleared into the closing table. If there's a dispute with the buyer and the seller, that's what the agents are there for. The agents and being handle that and then let us know.
Okay.
They have to guide us. Commissions are wrong. We're not here to tell you they're right.
Yeah.
That's again the agents. If there's no agent, then I feel horrible saying it, but that's why you should hire a real estate agent.
Yeah. And then also, whenever there's a cancel and release, we don't get to pick who takes the money.
Yeah, you have to, if you're in a dispute, you have to get with an attorney and they have to mediate it in court. So, at the end of the day, that money kind of disappears to the court system and the attorneys. So
just agree to who gets the money.
Yeah.
It's much cheaper to agree, okay, seller's taking this much, buyer's taking this much. Do a cancel and release form, send it to us, and we will send out the money to every party accordingly. It's not our job to say, well, this person deserves it because XYZ. We're not in that business. Yeah. And I think that's a very big misconception too when they're like, oh, well, the title's not helping. It's not that we're not helping. We're not
allowed to.
We're not allowed to do that.
We can't release money unless we have a cancellation, telling us where the money goes.
Divorces. So, like, whenever there's a divorce, what makes it easier for us to distribute?
Well, we have to follow the, basically the document that tells us who gets what.
Okay.
Which is what...
The settlement.
Yeah. Which is what, the attorney does, and they send us. Sometimes it's in public records, but...
Okay.
We literally have to follow that. There's no ifs, ands, or your buts about it.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's interesting and very good to know because, sometimes they'll be like, oh, well, you're supposed to send me the money or you're supposed to send that person the money. Again,
not there's a divorce decree. They just didn't get it done. They kind of have to agree and both sign off on the wiring instructions with who gets what.
Okay.
So that way they both are agreeing to it. And that's only if there's no documents already stating that.
All right. And what are some things that we can make things easier on a closing day?
Closing day, I think one, showing up at your scheduled appointment time, because we have people that will show up 2 hours later and, we're very busy. We schedule the appropriate times of what's available. Coming with your ID, which we always tell everyone, make sure that you have your form of ID.
I'm guilty. I showed up to my own closing. I showed up to my own closing with no ID.
Yeah.
Crazy, but...
Yeah, you need that because
you need that.
Nobody will notarize anything without knowing it's you.
Yeah, I ended up having Carlos having to get my ID for me and make my closing happen. But I couldn't believe that as a person who's in a title office and works in real estate every day of my life, I did not have my ID at my closing. That was insane.
And you're driving without an ID.
I know, guilty. Guilty as charged.
Police officers out there.
If you're a police officer, please don't watch this video, thanks.
Let's see. Make sure that you reviewed your settlement statement, and ask questions before coming to closing. So
yes.
We're not handling that at closing, which, sometimes you do. It's not the end of the world. But definitely review. If you get stuff ahead of time, review it ahead of time. Come with your questions. Don't review
Especially your commissions.
Yeah, the commissions are very, very important. The realtors sometimes just don't even look at it. And then when checks get sent, they're upset. But, that's your job, is whenever we send it out to you to check it and to give us the proper information to be able to put it on the HUD.
Yeah, and then, sometimes people are not reading. They just rush through things and they sign off the document. So we can't argue. How are you to argue if you sign the document and then you tell us you did it right?
Yeah. Which happens quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It really happens with the admin fees, the broker admin fees.
Okay.
You gotta tell us to put them on there.
Yeah.
Rad. Unless we now we copy the MLS. So
Exactly. Well, this is very important information for everyone to know, to understand. Key points here: we're not mediators. We don't write up contracts for anyone. We don't pick and choose sides of who gets what.
You don't mind read.
We don't mind read. Pick up your phones. Communication is key. Check your emails. I'm the person that I have my email set up on my laptop, on my phone, on my iPad.
Yeah.
So, whenever I'm not physically in office, Katie will be like, hey, did you see this email? And I can whatever device is close to me, I have it open, right? I think it comes with the business when you're in real estate. It's we're in the business of having to be on call 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for agents, it's important, especially new agents, and the barrier to entry in real estate is so easy. Everyone's a real estate agent nowadays, unfortunately, but that's what's going to set you apart.
Yeah.
Is being prepared, having great communication, being on top of your things, and just knowing how to do the job correctly.
Yeah. Ask questions.
Yeah, don't be scared to ask questions. No question is a stupid question. Maybe a little bit, but we'll still answer it. Just kidding, not really. But, just don't be scared to ask questions because, we'll always be willing to answer them, even as silly as it may seem, but that's how you learn, right?
Mm-hmm. definitely.
But yeah, so please just make our lives easier and make Katie's life easier so she doesn't lose her mind.
Closer's life
Yeah,
easier.
the closer's life easier. Especially when we're printing all of these documents, 80 pages of documents, and then there's one thing that's wrong. It's like,
Which and redo it, reprint.
you gotta kill another tree. But yeah, pretty much that's it. Make sure you cross your T. What is it? Cross your T's and dot your I's. Your P's and Q's, whatever. Well, anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you save this video, you like, you share, you comment. Let us know what helps you make your closing easier to do, because you never know, who's reading these comments and can take some ideas from you if you're a sizzled real estate agent.
Let us know what title companies can do to make your life easier.
Correct. Let us know how we can help you guys make it easier for you guys as well.
Yeah.
It's a good point. But thank you so much for watching. We hope to see you on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.